My main thing left and my side thing switched up. It's better that way. I was getting them mixed up. Main thing left, side thing switched up. It's better that way. I was getting them mixed up. Main thing left and my side thing switched up.
Time for our janky intro because we are not in the studio. Welcome back to the Freelance Network Podcast, everybody. A podcast by content creators for content creators. So we're still on Zoom. We're still in a quarantine. It's happening until the end of April at least. But hey, we're back. So I am joined with my co-host, Cassie. Cassie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, living the dream once again. And today we are joined with one of my oldest friends, somebody who has joined me on many creative ventures that have failed, many that have succeeded. I'm very excited to have him on. We have Luke Searles. Luke, how are you?
Hello, I'm surviving day by day.
Day by day.
Just like everybody else at this point.
That's all you got to do, man. So a little background with Luke. He is another one of the illustrious members of Southern News Network because this podcast is having various SNN alumni on it here and there. That's where I first started creating stuff. So a lot of the people I still keep in contact with. And well, we are Luke Squared. We're kind of a dynamic duo.
Wow, yeah.
It's a throwback, but it's a good one.
Where did that term come from? I can't even remember where it started. I guess it was...
I don't even know either. I mean...
Probably the dance marathon.
I was going to say a great mini story to tell is the dance marathon, if you want to tell that one.
I knew of you, but we weren't really great friends yet. We had met a couple times in the studio, and then we had gone to the dance marathon. For some reason, I think either one of us had gone to the bathroom or we agreed, and we hung out in the bathroom for an hour.
Yeah. Well,
because we wanted to be away from all the lights and everybody else.
A little background. The dance marathon was an 18-hour fundraiser our school was hosting to raise money for charity. And we all thought it was a great idea, but the catch was you had to dance for 18 hours. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't sit. So we were all just this is a terrible idea. Now we're in. So me and Luke hid in the bathroom. We barely knew each other. And we just were hey, we have the same name. We both make movies. Let's hang out.
And here we are, 5 years later?
5 years later and still kicking, baby.
Somehow, yeah.
Many movies made later. College visits made later.
Yeah.
Shout out. But yeah. So Luke, I want you to talk about a certain project you made that sophomore year of your high school. Because Luke, when I met, I was a senior and he was a sophomore. And he was probably one of the most ambitious, young kids that I met in the program, just always eager to help out the seniors with their projects however he could. But then he was all right, at the end of sophomore year, he's bet, I'm making my own film. So Luke, why don't you talk to us about Executive Business?
So Executive Business was a film that I made, as you said, sophomore year. A little backstory, I did not want to be part of TV. I had no interest in it and was thrown into it my freshman year. And it wasn't until the beginning of sophomore year when I made a music video that I was oh, this film thing's actually kind of cool. Why don't I try this? So then I tried to help people that were older than me because I was tired of people who didn't really want to do it anymore. And I was all right, well, you're not going to help motivate me to do this. So I started helping you guys out. And then one day I saw a Tumblr post about a president who wanted to get impeached. And I was oh, that'd be a funny film. And so I wrote up the script. I think it took me 4 hours to write the script. And it was a 15-page script. And I was oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever written. This is going to make millions of dollars, because I was 15 and was yeah, this is the best thing ever created. And so we ended up making Executive Business, and I genuinely thought I was Steven Spielberg. Was so happy with it. Had so many people work on it and be a part of it. I think it was probably between 15 and 20 people, which is still the biggest crew I've ever had for some odd reason. And we had everybody come to my house. We filmed for a week and a half. We filmed, and I put it together the day of the film fest. And I was the only sophomore with a film in that film fest. And I was this is it. People are going to love it. And then I watched it on the screen and was wow, this is awful. And was so just blown away at how wrong I was. And then after it aired and all the seniors films played, I had so many people come up to me and say, "Hey, your film was our favorite from tonight." I was like, "What's wrong with you? Why?" And they're like, "It was so bad that it was funny. Like, it was fun to watch." And I was like, I guess that's a compliment one way or another. So I never touched it again, and it just sits way down on my YouTube channel. I think it has like 110 views. Nobody touches it. We don't speak about it. But when people find it, I have to explain what it is because it's an experience.
I mean, those are always the best kind of videos, though. Like, it's just so bad that it's laughable, and I've never seen it, but now I'm interested, and I
You don't
probably.
have to watch it. It's
I will
okay.
send you the link.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, see, it's funny because like you said, there's 15 to 20 people working on it. It's like you see all of us when we were so much younger, and like, you know what? Like, yeah, it wasn't the best movie, but you were 15, bro. Like,
Yeah,
the
and it
fact that you
was
pulled it off when you were 15 is an accomplishment in
I
itself.
I don't know what motivated me to do it. I think it was because nobody had really a film in the film fest, and I was like, all right, well, I'll make something. And then after that, I guess I actually was like, hey, making films is fun, even if they do really, really suck.
I mean, you were the only underclassman with a film in it that wasn't a project, like through class,
Yeah,
because
it was
like,
just a personal film.
yeah, because like I had one, Ian had one, Jimmy had one. Like we
Max
all,
had one, yeah.
the seniors all had films, but like you were the only actual underclassman that made a project outside of the classroom.
Yeah. It
But
was
fast forward a little to your senior year, or was it junior
yeah.
year when you made Day Infinity?
That was my senior year,
Senior, it was
yeah.
senior. So talk
Yeah.
about Day Infinity, because this is like glow up challenge. Like if you watch Executive Business and then you watch Day Infinity, you're like, damn, this
Yeah,
kid
it's
learned.
about 18 months in between or so. So Senior Film Fest was coming around, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I wasn't happy with any of the stuff I had made in class, and I was like, all right, this is my senior year. I should definitely make something. And so I had this idea of a guy who was like the only person left on Earth. I had watched something and got motivated. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I was interested. And so I wrote the script, and it came out to be like 12 pages. I was like, oh, that's perfect, right? So I got my buddies Sean and Anthony to come and film it with me. And we went out to this quarry, and we were out there for like 2.5 hours. And I think we got 2 shots, and I was furious because it was not what I wanted. It was not what I pictured. It was nothing like I had envisioned. And I got so upset and so angry. And they were like, we don't know what to tell you, Luke. What do you want us to do? Be better? I don't know what you want me to tell you. And so I was so frustrated, I guess, with myself. Or like, I had like threw my $15 tripod off like a third-story building. We were like breaking old stuff in this beat down house with a baseball bat. It just was like, I don't know what I was doing. So I went home, was very upset with myself, and then decided I'll just go make it myself. Nobody else, I know what I want, and nobody else can give that to me right now. So I skipped school the next day, grabbed my own old T3i camera, and went out to this quarry alone at 8 a.m. and filmed the whole thing in 6 hours by myself. I would have to set the camera up, look, check the focus, like put my hand out to see if that's where it needed to be, and just filmed it. And I finished it after that day and was so proud of it. I was like, this is sick. It was like 11 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is perfect, exactly how I wrote it. And so I brought it into school the next day, and my TV teacher told me it needed to be 5 minutes or it wasn't going to play. I almost started breaking more things. I was like, this is great. What do you mean 5 minutes? I can't do that. She was like, well, then I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's not going to play. I was furious, but I eventually sucked it up. I cut it down to 7. And I was like, all right, listen, this is the best I can do. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, it's all I have. And she was like, I didn't actually want it to be 5 minutes. You just needed to cut it down some more. And I was like, I was going to hurt you. Like, what do you mean? Like, why would you do that to me? I was so proud, and you just killed me. And so it played at the film fest. I was super proud of it because the whole thing was completely by myself.
So I went to that film festival because all of my little brothers and sisters basically were seniors
Yeah.
at that point. Like all these kids I watched grow up, and I remember watching Luke's, and I was just like, one, this is the polar opposite of executive business. Like executive business, he grabbed anybody in the hallway to be in it, and then this one, he was like, no, everyone leave me alone. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty dope. But also, you just pulled off the feel of the film really well, which I think is something a lot of high school filmmakers have a hard time doing, is like the concepts they want to pull off. They can't actually sell it, and you did. So, which also, this one I'll put the link into the description because I know you wouldn't mind people watching it.
No, this one's not bad. The beginning's a little awkward because it's just me talking to a GoPro I attached to a wall. But, it is what it is. I filmed it in 4K and then threw noise on top of it to make it look vintage for some odd reason. Don't know what made me make that decision. Kind of ruined the point of filming in 4K, but here we are. It came out fine. 7 minutes was worth it. If you want to see me just walk around and look as lonely as possible, it's perfect.
Yeah, and then the next thing I wanted to talk about within your high school days is something I also participated in. I think it's
Emotionless.
a lot of fun. No, we don't need to talk. All right, fine. If you want to talk about that, we can.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
you can say whatever you want about it.
Emotionless is the greatest film ever created, and I wore a pink shirt and had 4 lines and was so proud of myself because I was part of a senior film, and it sucks. It's better than executive business, but we thought it was once again the greatest thing ever created. And when I watch it now, it is so hard to look at myself. It just hurts.
Well,
but anyway, that's
why I didn't want to bring up my senior film, but okay.
an amazing film.
What I wanted to talk about was the 10-day film challenge, because that's a really unique experience, and you kind of were along for a very unique experience in the 10-day film challenge. So before you talk about it, the basic rundown is a bunch of high schools can participate around the country, and you get a prompt, you get a character, you get a line of dialogue, you get a prop, and you get a location, and then everybody gets a different genre per group, and you have 10 days to make a 3-minute film. So that's like the idea of it. And then there's like a state competition, there's a region competition, right? And then nationals.
Yeah, so it's like your state, and then it goes to region, and then nationals. So we had done some like competition earlier in the year to figure out who was going to lead the film team, and I ended up winning. I was like, it's not that deep. Like, can't we just put all the best heads together? Like, I don't actually care. I'd rather just work with, all the fun kids. And so we got sci-fi, I think, or time travel of some sort. And me and the group members were never people to plan very well. And so it was like day 5. We had nothing. And that's when one of our group members had a seizure in the middle of our planning session. And everything was like, what is happening? I'm not going to do this anymore. This is horrible. She was fine. All is good. But so then it was day 7. And we had a couple little ideas, but really nothing great. And so then we decided on this is called Love at Second Sight. And we decided on that. We were like, oh, this will be fun to make. So the end of day 7, we started filming with no script, no real plan. We kind of just went through it. And by day 10, we managed to get something together. And we ended up winning states. And then we went on to win nationals, which was really, really fun. We had our main actor, Evan, win Best Actor. And my favorite part of the whole thing is that we won Best Screenplay. We won Best Script without a script. So that was interesting. That was everybody's favorite part. More than winning first, it was that we won Best Screenplay without a script.
Imagine they just afterwards were like, hey, can we see your screenplay? And you were just like,
here's a blank piece of paper, sir.
Yeah, here you go.
that's actually a really fascinating concept. I didn't hear about any of this when I was in high school. So I
Yeah.
really wish I did, because maybe I would have gotten into this field a little sooner, but
It's definitely very hectic. It's very, very intense, but if you can work together with people, it makes it a lot easier. But I did it junior year, and we put something together that was just god awful. And
Didn't sophomore year you do it and didn't even finish too?
yes,
Not to throw you under the
called
bus.
Surreal. It was a film called Surreal. I was the actor, and it was the weirdest thing ever. And I don't know what happened. I think we just gave up. I think we definitely just gave up. It was like day 8. We hadn't finished, and we were like, yeah, let's just not do this anymore. We got a really bad grade on that. And then it just never, I don't know what happened. We just didn't get through it. And then junior year, we made something, didn't make it to States. It was really bad. But senior year, we managed to come up with something good. It was fun.
Alrighty, well, I think that's enough on high school, because I mean, we could talk about high school forever. There's
That's where
so
it all
many
started.
videos we didn't mention. We did the morning announcements and the news and stuff. Didn't even mention that. There's just so much. But let's get into what you're doing now, because now you're at the University of Tampa.
Yeah, not physically, but
I mean,
yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm a junior at UT right now. I'm in the film and media program. It's something. It's not what I hoped it to be, but it's a good school overall. It's a very cool area. They do have some good resources and definitely give you some good opportunity to get things created and work together with a lot of people. It's kind of just, it's a very good budget film school, and that's where
My computer froze.
want to go to Tampa.
Yeah. So I looked at Montclair. Montclair was an option, and I actually toured it with Luke, which was fun.
It was a legendary day.
Yeah,
It was. I remember that day so specifically too, because I remember it was such a last minute thing, because I was in my first year at community college.
Yeah.
You were a junior in high school.
Yeah.
And your dad was just like, hey, you two, we need to figure out your next step. Let's go to Montclair.
Yeah, so my dad went to Montclair. He was like, you should go to Montclair too. You'll get in. And I was like, that's great. So will half of my high school. And that's not what I'm looking to do.
And also, I remember when we toured it, no offense to Montclair, neither of us vibed with it at all.
It was very just not what I was looking for in a school.
Do you remember sitting in that one classroom when we were supposed to be with the film people, and the entire talk had nothing to do with film?
It was just about a guy's book.
Yeah.
And he was like, you should get this book. It'll teach you how to do film. And I was like, that's cool.
I was like, all right, off the list. Next.
Yeah, I have so much to say about that school, but
it's an interesting place. A lot of people from high school went there. And the biggest thing for me when looking at school was that I didn't want to go where a lot of people were going. So I wanted to go somewhere new because I kind of wanted to start over. I wanted to start fresh. And, I had applied to schools out in California. I got into one out in Hollywood, but it was too far.
Dude, I remember that. And I remember you calling me and being like, don't tell my mom.
Yeah, because they weren't really for it. I was so excited, and then eventually talked myself out of it, which I'm very happy I did. And then I moved down to Florida, and there was one kid from my high school who ended up going there. Had no idea, and met him on moving day. I was like, oh, okay. But it was a lot of fun, and I can't really complain about my decision. I'm very happy with it, and it's been a good ride.
That's cool. So I'm sure Luke has a bunch of questions to ask you about your time and film stuff there, but I know we've been asking lately, because of the COVID virus and everything, how have you been handling school remotely, especially film school?
So film school has kind of been just stopped for the most part. I'm in a class called experimental filmmaking, and instead of using a film camera, we now have to go find old film and edit it together and do some sort of experimental style, which it stinks, but it is what it is. We can't really harp on the bad and kind of just have to make the best out of everything. For the most part, everybody's off of campus, so everybody has to be remote now. Classes are all online through Zoom. A lot of people are doing discussion boards, which is way better than Zoom at this point for class. A lot of professors aren't the most technologically advanced, so things aren't going great. Lack of communication, but it's for a lot of people, it's the first time they're really doing this, so they don't really know what to do or how to handle it, and that's where we have to kind of be. I'll give you my best effort if you give me yours. So I can't complain much. Tampa and Florida as a whole right now isn't taking it as serious as we are here in New Jersey, which is leading to students from school, contracting the virus, and then it's starting to spread. And, I don't know if going back right now is the safest thing for me because of being here. Maybe I'm safer, quarantined in my house as compared to quarantined in my apartment. It's new, but I think as time goes, it sucks more for high school kids as it does for college kids, especially me as a junior. It's not the end of the year for me, or the end of the road per se, and trying to just make the most of it as the semester goes and live to see another day.
I mean, that's all we can do right now, and it's uncharted waters for everybody, but I mean, we're getting through. So, but I do want to talk a little bit about what you've done in your time in college, because you've done a couple internships, had a couple interesting jobs too. So why don't you speak about that?
So my freshman year, I was at a sorority event for Delta Gamma. And there was a guy there who had a camera. It had a really cool rig that I had no idea what it was. And I was like, hey, if you ever need any help, I'd love to come film with you. Never heard from him again. And I was like, oh, okay. 6 months later, I was home for Christmas or something. Maybe not. It was like almost a year later. I was home for Christmas. And he reached out to me. And I was like, who are you? I have no idea who you are. He was like, I'm the guy you talked to at that sorority event. I was like, how did you find me? What do you mean? And so I reached back, I answered, and he was like, hey, I want you to come film some nightlife stuff. I was like, that's sick. I am in New Jersey, but I would love to. Why not? And so we worked it out that when I came back to school, we would set up an internship. And so I came in, and they were very happy I wasn't somebody they had to teach. I had a lot of experience coming in, and that's what they were really looking for because they were still a startup. And so we started doing a lot of editing and a lot of camera work for them with, we used a private school in town. We did a lot of sports edits for them. We did some cool conferences. We do a lot of promotional stuff, commercials and such. So they were really cool. They definitely gave me my first opportunity in Tampa, and I can't thank them enough. I'm still with them today. So they've been super helpful and definitely have taught me a lot and given me a ton of resources day in and day out. And I can't, that's not a price point I can put on something, no matter what I'm paying at school. That opportunity has been really cool. And that led to me getting a second internship, which is more of a job than an internship, with an insurance agency in town as a video editor, which has been so cool. And it definitely has gotten me, my first step into the corporate world, which is, definitely a viable option coming out of school. And I've had some videos play in Times Square. I got to meet, the CEO of JP Morgan. I got to meet some really, really cool people and make a lot of cool connections. So it's been, once again, very invaluable, and I can't put a price point on that and the opportunity that I've had, which has been a lot of fun. It wasn't what I expected going to school. I expected, maybe I'll just PA on a couple different films here and there, but having that experience coming into school definitely helped me grow my chances for joining a firm or a company at school.
Which all those started with one conversation at a sorority event.
Yeah.
So you never
know.
Very
a shoot your shot kind of deal.
Dude, you gotta shoot your shot. I mean, like, if you see somebody with a camera, if I ever see somebody with the camera, I'm like, yo, nice camera. And then
Yeah.
they're probably just like, oh, this guy thinks it looks cool. I'm like, oh, what model is it? Like, what lens are you using? He's like, oh,
Right.
he actually knows what a
Oh
camera
yeah,
is.
he's not an idiot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is something you have coming up, because me and you talked about it a bunch a couple weeks ago, and I'm super excited and super proud. So this man's going to be a senior in college, which makes me
Yeah,
feel
finally.
incredibly old.
A
But
little.
that means that you're working on your senior thesis film. So
Yeah.
you don't have to give away the plot, because we can wait. But just give us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so I have my senior thesis, hopefully, as of right now, happening in the fall. I've started the pre-production process of breaking things down and, creating characters, creating the plot, creating the storyboards and stuff. I've started writing it finally.
Which honestly, right now with all this free time, it's not the worst
Yeah,
thing to
and
do all the pre-production.
right, and for one of my other classes, I have a screenwriting class, so I'm using it as a chance to kind of workshop it and go through it. So once that's done, I have to begin financing and raising some money, which will be the first time I've ever done that. It'll be the first time I've ever asked somebody for money for one of my films. I have to start developing a crew and finding the resources and doing my best to do it right at this point. It's been a long road, but I want to finish the school aspect of it on a really high note and, prove that doing this for 8 years there's a reason for it. And that I've learned, and starting from executive business, I've made improvements every single time to what I'll make in the fall. As of right now, everything's still on track, but I don't know as of right now. So I'm keeping my hopes up for it.
Well, we're excited. We're gonna be cheering you on. Hopefully it's happening. And I mean, I know I said that I would be a part of it, because it'd be like the most full circle thing ever.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so Cassie, you got any other questions for Luke?
I mean, the only thing I can think of really is like, I know you're still a junior in college and stuff like that, but like, what do you really want to do after graduation? Like, what is your plan?
That is a good question, because I have no idea. And I've never had an idea. For like a couple months, I wanted to be a cinematographer. A couple months, I wanted to be a director. A couple months, I wanted to be a producer. I have no idea, but I think my ultimate goal is to be part of a creative team that can be a resource, whether that means a production company or whatever it may be, to be a source for people to come to help bring their visions to a screen, so that when somebody has an idea, they don't feel that they need to, raise $1 million. That if somebody can come up with a solid idea and bring it to a team, that they can help create a budget for them and, make something that they'll be proud of. Whether that means movies or commercials or corporate, I have no idea right now, but I'm keeping my options open. And that's something I always pride myself on, is being able to be proficient in every field of the industry. And that's where, that the Day Infinity one-man film idea kind of came from, was why not test myself in every aspect and work on every single part of it? Because then, I know if I need to work on something. And that's why even to this day, I'll work on something different on every project, because I have no idea what's going to come out of this when I'm done. I try to make as many connections as I can, but one shoot your shot kind of deal, and my whole life could change. So nobody knows just yet, but I hope to be part of a team one day that can help bring visions to reality.
It's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Luke. Well, I want to thank you for being on. It was long overdue, because
Yeah, man.
you're one of my day one homies when it comes to this stuff, but I'm glad that we got to chat. This definitely won't be the last time you're on either, because we're bringing people back all the time. And now that we have,
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Now that we have Zoom, we can do it whenever. So
whenever you want, I'm here for it.
And we'll definitely have you on when it comes time to thesis, and you can give us updates, or even afterwards.
Talking about balling on a budget and
working
on all that, how to make stuff with no money, which is what I've done for a long time.
That's its own episode, because me and you have so many stories about that alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Luke, thank you again.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
And also, everybody listening or watching, we appreciate you sticking with us through this quarantine. We're going to be dropping episodes when we can, and we will see you soon.
Adios.
Hi, that's a pod.
That's a pod.
That's a pod.
Yeah.
Before you judge, I'm the hardest. Don't let people put you down. Before you judge, I'm the hardest. Forced to find love on this digital when I've been about the traditional.